Where am I? Hold on. I almost forgot to add myself into the capture. Hold on a minute. I swear I'm here somewhere. I know it. Hold on. Let me find me. Somebody put me away in the land that shall not be named. Perhaps. Maybe if I put myself up here. No. Here. Oh yeah. Hello everybody. Thank you for coming to the new event. My event, that is. Good to see everybody. But yes, the name of the song is Compass by Millie. And here, let me go put some casual music. But yeah, I just got that recently, and I'm glad it seems like to me, it turned out really well. Let me go make sure I'm not like covering chat here. I'm glad you actually got to tune in for the little premiere that we got just then. But yeah, that was made by Picori Puff. I'm gonna make a post today on Twitter to thank them properly for their amazing work that they did for us. But that's gonna be a permanent feature. Hope you guys like that. But yes, like I promised, today I am going to play Sayonara. I have that set up already, so hopefully no memes. Yeah, I know, right? What's that cuteness on the screen? Up there? That's chat. That's what the cuteness is on that screen. But the goat cheese did arrive in the mail. I will be making a review video on that soon. So expect it in a few days. You're gonna enjoy some delicious delicacies. It even came in a nice box. Like it was an UPS box. It was cold and it said, "Open immediately. It is perishable." And it has some fancy metal lining on it. So it's in there now. Very cute indeed. Okay, so let's see here. But yeah, if you need to head out or anything now, that was the cool thing I wanted to show, other than Saya, of course. Let me go find it here. And yeah, my bad for heading out the other day. We didn't have a stream, but let's just say that ship has sailed. Am I right? Kai, welcome. Just checking my everything here. There's Saya. It's about to get spooky in here. All right, opening it up. I'll make sure I put that source right there. And then, boom. And then that. But yeah. I have to drop in my wait for everybody. Let me make sure I have everybody here. Flap, somebody, Nia, Kai, Sage, Chiripa, Jewel. Welcome. Glad you all could make it. And if I miss anybody, please let me know. I need to make sure I say hi to you too. Just making sure the audio isn't like louder than me. But I'll just lower it just in case. There we go. And Noran Maru, welcome. Good to have you as well. Then we'll need to lower the sound on that as well before it gets too spicy. Okay, so before we do this, I was wondering, I can choose to read out all of the lines after the voice acting, or do you want me only to narrate the thoughts of the MC? So narrate everything or only the stuff that isn't said? Yeah, right? We'll get to see it again when I go into the end screen. I haven't finalized it as an end screen yet, but then I will do that as well. Yeah, narrating just the thoughts. Alright. Sure. How about a taste of both then? This story is a work of fiction. The procedures and conditions described herein are imaginary and do not reflect real life. Please, select how you would like such images to be displayed. Just the thoughts. I see we have a leaning, so let's see how that turns out. How do we want to do this? /boom. Do we want to see it all? Obscure, lower the brightness, a bit of both, or just show it in all of its artistic glory? True? So truers in the chat? Cassius, welcome! And you could make it as well. So if anybody missed the little intro that I did, I made sure to record it, so when I post it on Twitter today, you guys get to see how I made that come out. Alright, so we'll go with the true version here. The weirdly massive flesh bubbles. There we go. Yeah, it's like kind of hardcore. I can read. Haha. Give me strong highs. Brinsley. 3 such creatures sit around the table in front of me, slurping fluffy sludge from their cups as they trade whines, growls, and sounds that I cannot describe. It's a washed over and bush-skin pick. And it is not 3 million escort spoilers. Got so tight. Money, little kind. This square cast slate as cash cow business. Wow, that looks delicious. By listening carefully, I am able to grasp the gist of your conversation and respond when it is required of me. This is to avoid arousing their suspicion. Yeah, this is... That's what my room looks like. However, these creatures look. They are my friends, apparently. Oh, I want friends, needy friends. I wish I could still deny it, but I gave up on that a long time ago. Night after night, I went to sleep praying for an end to this nightmare, only to wake up each morning to the same twisted hellscape as the day before. That just sounds like every day. I know now that I have to blend in, but I have to act like one of them. Such has been my life these past 3 months, and so it will remain until the day I die. Get it twisted? Bro, our doors /jerk warning N6 at NTVADS diff net Feb 69 411 angst at Judging by its tone, this must be Mr. Koji. And the one next to him, squealing more than the others, is probably Omi. Which means that the one next to me is Yo. Yo? Though I can no longer see any trace of her once attractive features, I try my best to ignore the rotten stench of excrement that issues from her quivering flesh. Fuck SDF. Skating? What about it? God, GDF. Everything has changed. Or has almost everything. By some cruel trick of fate, my relationship to the world alone remains the same. As if an insane architect took the blueprints of my life and rebuilt it out of blood and gore. These monsters and I were part of the same college club. We studied together, ate together. We even went skiing together every winter break. Now these are but painful memories of days that will never return. If only no one recognized me, I might be able to disconnect myself from the world. It would have been comforting in comparison to believe that I had been abducted by aliens or that I had stumbled through a gateway to hell. And no, this is beyond a doubt the city where I was born and raised, society that I was part of for 20 years, save that I, and I alone, can no longer see it that way. The world as I knew it was gone. I have no place to call home. Society. Take time and for loot. I wish I can speak in hashtags and numbers too, you know? Anyway, I can tell that whatever they're discussing is of no importance to me. I decide to keep quiet while I pretend to listen. But just then... Hey, Fuminori. One of the flesh beasts says that it swivels its bloodshot eyes towards me. What do you think? Well, what? I try desperately to suppress my loathing and behave normally, but my hoarse voice ruins the attempt. We're talking about this here ski trip. You're coming too, right? The slimy hole near the top of the creature writhes nauseatingly as it vomits some semblance of words. That must be Koji's face. Or what I would have seen as such 3 months ago. Unable to stomach the sight of it, I avert my eyes and give a neutral answer. I don't know. You have other plans? Yeah, it's... Oh, let's turn up their voice acting. I think that's safe here. These were my closest companions. One of them even wished to be more. How many nights I spent crying in loneliness, lamenting the friends who no longer exist. In 3 months my tears ran dry, and now there's only loathing left in me. Surrounded by hideous creatures that I can only consume are Koji, Omi, and Yo. I spend each day trying to act as I always have. If I fail at this, I'll surely be sent back to the hospital. Only this time, I'll be locked away forever. No matter what, I won't let that happen. I mean, it's not like physical activity could affect your injuries, right? I'm not sure. I'll ask the doctor during my checkup. That's it. I can't look at them or bear their screeching any longer. I jump to my feet, desperate to escape. Hey, Fuminori! The spray of stringy slime from the cilia around its voice box flies at me. I try to cover myself, but too late to keep the slime from splattering across my face like the yolk of a rotten egg. I'm about to lose it. I want to grab a chair, a desk, anything within reach and use it to smash the life out of this creature, ending it all. They barely suppress the impulse. I mustn't let on that something is wrong. However they look to me, this is their world. I'm an outsider here.
だから今日も診療なんだ。もう時間だから。
Like I said, today's my checkup. I've got to go. Struggling to put on a smile, I reach into my wallet, pull out the first bill I find, and put it on the table without even looking at it. I don't care about the change. I just need to get out of here. Now.
それじゃあ。
Later. I mutter hastily and flee the cafeteria. I'm not crazy.
ねえねえ、今度のスキーだけどさ、今年はどっかスケートも遊べるところにしない？
Hey, says Takahata Omi. Why don't we go somewhere we can skate for this year's trip? Tsukuba frowns at the suggestion.
スケート？わざわざスキー場にまで行ってスケート？
Skate? But why go to a ski resort to skate?
勘弁してやってくれよ、つくば。こいつ今そっちにハマってんだ。
Give her a break, Tsukaba. It's all she talks about these days. Tonakoji supports Omi with a laugh. Her impromptu suggestions are nothing new, and it's Koji's role as her boyfriend to provide backup. They're a good match for each other, Yo thinks. Sometimes it makes her jealous.
なんせオウミってさ、この前この年になって初めてスケートやったんだ。
I mean, she'd seriously never gone skating before I took her to it the other day.
何よ、スケートしたことなかったのがそんなに不思議？
Hey, is it really that strange?
20歳になって初体験ってのは興味そうそういないんじゃないかな。
Not many people start skating in their 20s, you know?
子供の頃はなんとなく怖かったのよ。あの靴、なんだか刃物みたいでさ。
I was scared when I was little. Those shoes looked like big knives.
でも、いきなりやって滑れたの？おみちゃん、すごくない？
But you picked it up just like that? That's pretty amazing, Omi.
容量はスキーとそう変わるもんじゃないからな。重心を前に出して靴の前のヘリでコントロールする感覚とか。
It's a lot like skiing. You keep your weight forward and use the angle of the shoes to steer.
コウジにそう言われたもんだからさ、騙されたと思ってやってみたわけよ。そうしたらもう楽しくって。
You made it sound so easy. I figured I should give it a try, and it was fun. Dango, hello. So, it was a date. Yo felt a stab of envy. Koji and Omi enjoyed their time together, as normal lovers do. That's certainly not something that should make her jealous. It's just that her luck in love has been bad. Yo, same?
私も見てみたいな。おみちゃんがスケートやるところ。
Oh, well, I want to see Omi skate too. Yo keeps her voice upbeat, trying to cover her disquiet. Dango. She knows that it's wrong to envy her friends. She too would be spending time with the man she admires, if not for the terrible tragedy that befell him. His is true misfortune. Her bad luck doesn't even begin to compare. Saving at the lucky moment.
だからさ、ね、今度のスキー旅行、
Okay, sounds
つ
good.
いでにスケート旅行にしちゃえば
See you in a bit.
2倍美味しく楽しいってわけよ。
So how about it? If you make the next ski trip a skating trip too, it'll be twice as fun.
でもさ、スケートはスケートリンクに行けばできるじゃない。わざわざスキー場に行ってまでやる？
But you can skate at a skating rink, can't you? Why go all the way to a ski resort?
だから屋内じゃなくてさ、屋外スケート。
Yeah,
凍った
all the
湖
meat
とか
must
で
have
滑
made
れ
her
るところ。
hungry. I don't want to skate indoors. I want to skate outside on a lake or something. Skate on a lake. Oh, it must be
そん
cold.
な都合のいいとこあるかな。なんだかすっごく混んでそう。
That sounds fun, but won't it be crowded? While speaking, Yo sneaks a sideways glance at the young man sitting next to her. Although the conversation has involved only 3 people so far, There are in fact two couples at the cafeteria table. Yo's boyfriend, though there's still some doubt whether he could be called that, is beside her, as silent and as expressionless as a statue.
なあ、文則。お前はどう思う？
Hey, Fuminori, what do you think? Perhaps Koji sensed Yo's pain in his usual quiet and considerate way.
どうって。
Well, what? The cause of Yo's distress, Sakisaka Fuminori responds to Koji's sudden query with a vague, mumbled question of his own.
いや、だからさ、今年の冬のスキーだよ。お
Um,
前も行くよな。
we're talking about this winter ski trip you're coming to, right? Koji speaks gingerly, as though probing a tumor. A few months ago, he would not have hesitated to rebuke Fuminori for his attitude. Their long acquaintance had forged a strong and honest friendship, but now,
わからない。
I don't know. Fuminori responds bluntly, his downcast eyes and sullen demeanor making it clear that he has no desire to break his silence.
何か他の予定でもあるのか？
You have plans?
いや、別に。
Not really. Even Koji, Fuminori's best friend, cannot communicate with him as before. What hope does Yo have of breaking through his shell? The scars left by the events of that late summer's day are still all deep these months later. Each one of them bears them, not only Fuminori.
なあ、別に運動するのが傷に触るとかそういうわけでもないんだろ？
I mean, it's not like physical activity could affect your injuries, right?
どうだろうな。今日の診療で先生に聞いてみる。
Lime, I swear. Not sure. I'll ask the doctor during my checkup. As though that answer drained the last of his patience, Fuminori bolts out of his
おい、
chair.
文則。
Oi, Fuminori. Even Koji can't keep his voice from rising as he tries to stop Fuminori from leaving. Fuminori reacts swiftly, throwing his hand over his face as though to shield himself from something terrifying. Thanks for the lecture. I shall be here, and yes, Dynamite mentioned. Maybe some spit flew inadvertently from Koji's mouth, but that sometimes happens. Fuminori's reaction is beyond pale. Wait a minute. Is this the same reaction at the same conversation at the very beginning? Just being replayed in reality? Because the spit is like that slime that he was describing not too long ago.
だから今日も診療なんだ。もう時間だから。
Like I said, Fuminori snaps, making no attempt to relieve the discomfort of his friends. Today is my checkup. I have to go. Even as he tosses money on the table to pay for his coffee, he acts like he's touching something filthy.
それじゃ。
Later. Fuminori stalks out of the cafe, almost as if he's running away. Cloaked in heavy silence, the remaining three lowered their gaze at a table, where the abandoned 10,000 yen bill sways forlornly. Fuminori's coffee is untouched.
やってられないわね。
I can't take this anymore. Mommy says with a sigh, but Koji shakes his head reproachfully.
文則にはもう少し時間が必要なんだと思う。
Fuminori just needs a little more
だっ
time.
てもう3ヶ月よ。なんなのよあれ。付き合ってるこっちが変になりそうよ。
But it's been 3 months. What's with his attitude? I feel like I'm going crazy around him. Also, I think 10,000 yen is more like, yeah, pretty close. But actually even less, 64 bucks is what I remember it to be like.
俺だってわからない。わかるはずもないと思う。
Hey, I don't understand what he's going through either. I don't think any of us can.
お前だって想像つくか？あんなひどい形で家族全員を奪われて平気でいられるわけないよ。
Can you imagine losing your whole family like that? That'd screw anybody up. Could have happened to anyone. The tractor trailer flipped over the highway, crushing the Sakisaka family car into scrap. They said it had been difficult to tell the bodies of Fuminori's parents apart. Yikes. Good gamble. For a while, it had looked like there was no hope for Fuminori either, and it was nothing short of a miracle that he was able to leave the hospital and return to a normal life.
見舞いに行った時なんてもっとひどかったじゃないか。誰が誰かも分からずに怯えて暴れてベッドに縛り付けられて。
He was worse when we went to see him in the hospital, remember? He was terrified like us. He didn't know who we were. He even had to be tied to the bed. He freaked out so bad.
今はよくあそこまで立ち直ってくれたと思う。
I'm just glad he's made it this far.
それにしたって変よ、咲坂くん。私たちのこと見る目つき、あれ何なの？まるでこっちが人間じゃないみたい。
There's still something strange about him. What's with the way he looks at us? It's like we're not even human.
よせ、オミ。
Cut it out, Omi. Koji says forcefully, probably less out of empathy for his friend than out of consideration for Yo. While Koji's kindness makes her happy, Yo also knows that she mustn't take advantage of it. Fuminori is the victim, just as Koji said. He's the one who deserves sympathy. Yo's feelings for Fuminori are her problem, and no one else's. She doesn't blame Fuminori for not giving her an answer after she worked up the courage to ask him out. In fact, she thinks even more fondly of him for taking the time to consider than she would have had he treated their relationship casually. Apparently, the fact that Fuminori did not reject her was enough to make them a couple in Koji and Omi's eyes. They've had plenty of fun at the Yo and Fuminori's expense since. The truth of it, though, is that he still hasn't given her an answer. After revealing her feelings to him, Yo didn't see Fuminori again until a week later, and then she could only stare at his broken body through the window of the ICU. And when he finally was released, after 50 days, it seemed like an eternity. He was somehow different. She's starting to doubt that he even remembers what she confessed to him before the accident. Now winter is coming, and her feelings hang forgotten in the cold, lonely air. Dr. Danbo Ryoko has never had a more troublesome patient.
その後の経過はどうですか、咲坂さん。
Any changes since your last
い
visit?
え、別段。これといって問題もなく。
No, nothing to speak of. His voice is hard and flat. His words toss carelessly in the air. It's like he's speaking to himself in an empty room. Ryoko is a surgeon, not a psychiatrist, but even she can sense the thickness of the wall he has erected between himself and the world.
吐き気やめまい、幻聴や幻覚といった体験は？
Any nausea, dizziness, hallucinations?
いえ、何も。
No. While Sakisaka appears to be looking at Ryoko, his gaze actually aimed a fraction down into the side. Down into the side. He's only superficially engaged in the conversation, when in truth it does not interest him in the slightest. Perfect rejection. Realizing that she can't interview him like this, Ryoko sighs and sets her chart aside.
咲坂さん、あなたが当院で受けた処置は脳神経医学の分野では世界的に最先端の治療でした。そのことはご存知ですよね。
Mr. Sakisaka, the procedure he received at this hospital was the latest in experimental neurosurgery. We explained this before, didn't we? Treatment of subdural hematoma through the use of micromachines, a procedure available in Japan exclusively here at T University, had been the only way to save Sakisaka Fuminori from a cerebral contusion that should have been fatal.
最先端であるということは、まだまだデータの出揃っていない危険性の伴う治療法だったという意味でもあります。
With any experimental treatment, there's always the risk of unexpected complications.
そうでしょうね。
Of course. Sakisaka Fuminori's lips twist slightly in what might be a bitter or mocking smile, but it is gone before Ryoko can discern its meaning.
普通こんなことを言って脅かすのは医者として問題なんですが、
Normally, I wouldn't say anything to frighten a
施
patient.
術後に重大な脳障害をきたしたケースも報告されているんです。予後の経過には十分に注意しなければなりません。
but there have been reports of serious neurological disorders post-surgery. We must continue to monitor your condition carefully. Hence, in these weekly checkups, if only he would take them a little more seriously.
先週の MRI はどうでした？
How was last week's MRI? Sakisaka asked abruptly as if to catch Ryoko off guard. MRI. Magnetic resonance imaging is a way for doctors to examine the brain in detail without opening the patient's skull. Surprised by Sakisaka's uncommon technical knowledge, Ryoko recalls his profile. Are we gonna get somebody's skull open? Is that foreshadowing?
そういえばあなたも医者の卵だったわね。
Oh, that's right. You're a medical student, aren't you?
先生が心配しているような脳機能不全は画像診断だけでも十分にわかるはずですよね。何か異常はあったんですか？
The kind of anomaly you're worried about should show up on an MRI, right? Did you find anything?
いいえ、
No? There was nothing. Not the slightest hint of abnormal activity for a procedure with low rate of success. The results have been nothing short of miraculous. However, something still bothers Ryoko. She can't shake the feeling that he's hiding something beneath his guarded exterior. Some terrible weight on his soul, perhaps. But if it's an inorganic problem, then there's nothing she can do as long as he refuses to explain it.
大丈夫ですよ先生。現に僕は今こうして病院の外でも何不自由なく生活しています。問題なんてないでしょ。
I'm fine. I've been on my own for 3 months without any problems. What could go wrong now?
ねえ咲坂さん、こういった難しい手術は予後不断が原則なんです。もう少し私たちを信用してもらえませんと。
Please, you know that continued observation is required after these difficult surgeries. You have to trust us a little more.
そうですよね。僕だって先生方を信用したい。どんな相談にも乗ってもらえるんですか？
I suppose you're right. I do want to trust you, Doctor. Can I come to you with anything?
ええ、もちろん。
Yes, of course. Ryoko answers, smiling to cover up her irritation. Sakisaka asked exactly the same question during last week's visit.
じゃあ先週の話の続きなんですが、先生、あれから大貝教授については何か分かりましたか？
Well then, let's pick up where we left off. Have you learned anything about Dr. Ogai? Unable to answer, Ryoko hardens the mask of her smile. As before, the patient is inquiring about someone whom he has no business knowing.
大貝教授のことは、あなたの治療とは何の関係もないでしょ？
If you don't mind my asking, what does Dr. Ogai have to do with your treatment?
信頼しろと言った矢先にいきなり隠し事ですか？
You just told me to trust you, and now you're keeping secrets? Ryoko is used to patients treating her with hostility. Some degree of paranoia is natural when dealing with a person whose mistakes could kill you. In Sakisaka, however, she doesn't see the anxiety that other patients exhibit. His demeanor is perfectly calm, almost like a detective questioning a suspect.
何分、だいぶ前にここを辞められた方ですからね。私個人としても交流があったわけではないし。
He left this hospital some time ago. I never had any contact with him myself.
辞めた理由はご存知ない。
Do you know why he left?
ええ、おそらく個人的な事情でしょうね。
Yes, I believe it was personal. Ryoko answers smoothly, her earlier hesitation gone. Having decided at the outset to lie, she has no trouble doing so with a straight face.
それにしても、咲坂さん、なぜあなたはそんなに大貝教授にこだわるんです？お知り合いですか？
But why do you keep asking about Dr. Ogai? Are you acquainted?
教授は今失踪中なんです。知ってましたか？
Did you know that the doctor has gone missing?
いいえ。
No? Ryoko realizes that her answer might have been a little too quick. She should have acted more
近
surprised.
頃教授の身内の人間と恋にしていましてね。その人から調査を頼まれているんです。
I've recently become close with a relative of his. It was she who asked me to find him. A relative? Ryoko considers this with a
大
frown.
貝教授に縁者の方はおられないはずですが。
I didn't think Dr. Ogai had any relatives.
おお、誰から聞きました？
Oh, who told you that?
それは噂話に。
I heard it from a nurse. Ryoko replies, remembering that she had claimed to have no contact with the man.
なるほど。そんなことが噂になる程度には、大貝教授は有名人だったわけですね。
I see. The doctor was famous enough to have nurses gossiping about him.
まあ一風変わった人だったみたいですね。
I hear he was an unusual man.
なのに、誰も彼が大学を辞めた理由を知らないと。
But no one knows why he left the university. Ryoko falls silent, knowing that this isn't a topic she can brush away with a smile. Sakisaka seems to have finally grasped her mood. However, as his strangely stiff tone softens a little.
僕はどうしても大貝教授に会わなきゃならないんです。
Easy, Please, I have to find Dr. Ogai.
彼がいなくなったせいで、行く当てがなくなり困っている子がいるんです。力になってもらえませんか？
There's a girl who needs him. Can't you help me?
それはむしろ警察の領分なんじゃないかしら。
Isn't that something the police should handle? Although she makes it sound like the most obvious thing in the world. Their suggestion is actually a gamble mentioned. If Ogai Masahiko's disappearance becomes a police matter, then the university will be oh no. Everyone who was involved in the incident will be at risk of exposure. Every time Gamba gets mentioned, I'm gonna add points to everybody. That's what's gonna happen. And of course, that includes Ryoko herself. She knows, however, that Sakisaka is unlikely to go to the police. First of all, his excuse is obviously a lie. They already made sure that Ogai had no relatives who might come looking for him, which is why they would bury the truth of what happened. But then, how did Sakisaka, mere patient, learn about Ogai?
崎坂さん、私の知っている範囲のことは喜んでお教えします。ですが、大貝教授は今年の4月に辞表を出して、以後は何の音信もないんです。
I'd be happy to help, but there's no word from Dr. Ogai since he resigned in last
どこか
April.
長期の旅行にでも行かれたか、その程度しか想像つきません。
I can only assume that he's gone on an extended vacation.
そうですか。
I see. Expecting resistance, Ryoko is surprised when Sakisaka backs down. She's still worried about his condition, and the mysterious link between him and Ogai is only making her more uneasy. But as long as he doesn't open up to her, there's nothing she can do. After a brief pause, Ryoko writes, "Progress good" on Sakisaka's chart for today.
崎坂さん、それでは来週の診察ですが、今日と同じ4時でも。
About next week's appointment, how does 4 o'clock against... Before she can finish, Sakisaka is gone. Rude. Oh. The flesh halls. Stream good. It looks like somebody sprayed the walls with pig guts from ceiling to floor. What color should the walls of a hospital be? White, of course. And the creatures of rotten flesh shambling around me. I'm sure this hallway looks just as white as it should. Room reveal. You POV walking to my room? I know intellectually that the walls are white. I know that the flesh beasts are really human. I'm the one with the problem, and it's because I've accepted this that I'm able to lead something approaching a normal life. Even if my university's medical department is nowhere near as good as T University's, I'm still a medical student specializing in neurology. I have a basic idea of what has happened to me, though it's hard to believe. This isn't a pathological condition, it's probably some sort of agnosia, unlike anything that has ever been studied before. A flesh beast called Danbo Ryoko said that the other patients had developed neurological disorders after receiving the same treatment that I did. So I guess I'm just another failure. It makes me want to laugh at that know-it-all doctor's face. That said, I don't blame the doctors who operated on me. After all, I do owe them my life. I know as well as anyone how low the chances of success were, and that I had no hope of survival. Whoa. I was unlucky. That's all there is to it. Does this mean when he walks outside that he's constantly in dark mode, like in real life? Like, does he see the sun? Can he stare at the sun and not get hurt? Probably not. The point is that my condition isn't treatable. Just like someone adapting to a hearing aid or wheelchair, I have no idea. I have no choice but to adapt to this nauseating scenery. Of course it's hard. It wasn't easy to resign myself to this fate. But now there's more than just despair. Even for me, there's a glimmer of hope. Keeping my eyes on my feet, I hurry home. I wonder if he hears all the squishy sounds too. I live in a quiet suburban neighborhood in a house that's much too large for me alone. My parents... I know, right? Dreams rat, this is just us. My parents, even unluckier than I was, died in the accident 3 months ago. I couldn't even go to the funeral for being in intensive care. So when they asked us how much of the gore we wanted to see, I thought we were only going to get like one CG of it, like every now and then. I didn't think that the entire background was going to be like, scrumptious. I had to sell my father's business, but at least that left me with the house and enough money to live on for a while. Of course I'm sad, but the accident took more from me than my parents. In fact, being on my own probably has saved me. If they were still alive, my parents would never have allowed me to live with some strange girl. Okairi, welcome home. As I open the door, a bright voice greets me from the kitchen. The voice is beautiful and clear as a bell. Human. Its sweet sound washes the day's cacophony from my memory. I'm home, Saya. Even the patter of feet coming down the hallway is music to my ears. Saya? Nowhere else in the city can I hear such footsteps. Only in this house with Saya am I so privileged.
遅かったね。ちょっと心配しちゃったぞ。
You're late. I was a little worried.
ごめんよ。今日は病院に寄っていく日だったから。
Oh my god, no way. Sorry, I had to stop by the hospital today.
そうだっけ?
That was today? In her smile and the inquisitive tilt of her head is everything I have lost. Yo, the music in the background right now, is this near? Since my accident, this girl is the only person I've met, perhaps the only person in the entire world, who does not trigger my cognitive disorder. True, her skin seems too white and the color of her eyes and hair is probably different in reality, but even so, her form is undeniably human. Look, I'm just gonna say, I would stay schizo for Saya. Say less. And it's not just her appearance and her voice either. As I bend down to take off my shoes, Saya wraps her arms around my neck and pulls me gently into her chest. Her skin feels truly human, not cold or slimy. And from her hair wafts a sweet feminine fragrance. Wait, so he does feel the textures as fleshy too. In all the world, only Saya is pleasing to my 5 senses. 5 of them. What's more, she smiles at me, embraces me. She knows that she is my salvation. For some reason, is happy that I need her. If I had not met Saya, if I had been all alone in this twisted, filth-ridden world, I would have no doubt that I've succumbed to madness. It is no exaggeration to say that Saya alone is keeping me alive.
今日は一日どうしてた?
What did you do today?
今の模様替え。もう半分ぐらい塗り終わったよ。で、今はね、文則の晩ご飯作ってるの。昼間テレビで作り方やってたから。
Worked in the living room, the painting's half done, and now I'm making dinner like I learned from TV.
そうか。楽しみだな。
Sounds good.
も ちょっと時間かかりそうなの。待っててくれる？
It'll take a little longer. Can you wait?
いいよ。じゃあ僕は今の続きをやってる。
Sure, I'll do some more work in the living room. If she comes back with a hamburger, would he be revolted or would he be like, hell yeah? After I see the humming sign off to the kitchen, I step into the living room. I realized one day that if the natural colors of the world were sickening, all I had to do was paint over them with colors that seemed pleasant. I went to the hardware store and bought every paint of color I could find. Then Saya and I tried different combinations until we found one that worked. Yeah, you're right. Especially right now, like, I wish I could eat the walls, but they taste like sand. After painting the bedroom from ceiling to floor, I was able to get my first good night's sleep ever since the accident. When we first started into the living room, Saya, unsure what to do with the curtains, just painted carefully around the windows. Without a moment's hesitation, I tore the curtains down and painted over the glass myself. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There'll never be anything out there that I'd want to see, and as long as we keep the storm shutters closed, the neighbors probably won't think of anything of it.
ご飯できたよ。
Dinner's ready.
こっちで食べよう。持ってきてくれるか？
Can you bring it in here? Meat and lettuce as she enters the living room with a tray of food. Saya sniffs the air. It smells yummy.
ペンキの匂い平気？
The paint smell doesn't bother you? Now that she mentions it, I suppose the smell of paint thinner must be building up in this closed room. It doesn't really bother me though. There are far worse smells outside. You think the paint thinner has something to do with this condition? I don't know.
さやは嫌いかい？
Does it bother you?
平気。
No,
海のりが大丈夫ならいい。
I'm fine if you are. Saya sets the food on the table. Unfortunately, neither its color nor smell is at all appetizing. Not that food elsewhere is any different.
いただきます。
Thanks, Saya. He said thanks for the meal. As has become routine, I steel myself and methodically transfer the food into my mouth. The taste is as gut-wrenching as I expected, but it's not Saya's fault. I'm sure she made it exactly like the cooking show said. It's just that my taste buds can't accept it.
美味しくない？
It's not that good? She asked hesitantly.
まあね。
Nia POV. Well, no. Haiwa makes Sai happy. She knows about my condition.
気にしないで。明日はまた別のものを作ってあげるから。
Don't worry about it. I'll make something different tomorrow.
ごめんな、いつも。せっかく作ってくれたのに。
Sorry, you always go through the trouble of cooking, but I...
いいのよ。こうやっていろいろ試していけば、いつか文のりでも美味しく食べられるメニューが見つかるかもしれないじゃない。
You're eating hamburgers. It's fine. If I keep trying, maybe I'll find something you like. Maybe we should try some of that paint. In my current state, eating more is nothing than an unwelcome duty. As much as I hate it, I need food to survive. Yeah, the whole menu's right there. We've gone through this in the forest, like, I think we'd fit in just fine. It's like, this is a dream right now, a nightmare? No, I love this. If I stay alive, then perhaps one day, as Saya says, I'll be able to taste something delicious again. I met Saya, didn't I?
さやは食べないの？
Aren't you going to eat?
私はもう済ましたから。
No, I already ate. In all the time we've been together, Saya has never once eaten with me. I don't know why she refuses to do so. It makes me a little sad. Still, I'm not about to push the issue now that she's putting up with all the problems I have.
そういえば、今日もう一度病院で君のお父さんのこと聞いてみた。
By the way, I asked about your father again.
パパの？
You did? Dr. Ogaima Sahiko is Saya's father and her only living relative. Saya's asked me to unravel the mystery of his disappearance.
やっぱり何も教えてくれない。
They still
何
wouldn't
か
tell me
隠してい
anything.
る雰囲気なんだが。
I get the feeling they're hiding something.
そう。
Oh. I expected Saya to be a little more
心
disappointed.
配じゃないのかい、お父さんのこと。
You haven't given up, have you?
そういうわけじゃないの。
No, Saya responds with an unreadable expression. It's not that. She gets a little shake of her head, then smiles at me once again.
ありがとう、海のり。私のためにいろいろと。
Thanks for all you're doing for me.
君はそれ以上のことを僕のためにしてくれるんだ。
That's nothing compared to what you've done for me. I thank her for the meal and set my chopsticks down next to the perfectly clean plate, as wretched as the taste was. Thinking of the care that Saya put into it gave me the strength to finish every bite.
じゃあ、お風呂にする？
Is it bath time?
また背中流してくれるか？
Yeah. Will you wash my back again? Should have been me. Sure. Ever since Saya moved in, it's like having my own wife. Saya, why are you so good to me? Is this truly what you want? What am I that you can give yourself to me body and soul? Is this merely sympathy? Do you pity me? The exile from society? Is that enough for you to surrender yourself to such mad desire? Are you wanton? Do I have the censor patch? Oh. This is the Steam version, so I don't know, we'll find out. But I will willingly take a ban for you guys. Saya is here. She is with me now. Only in this moment is her existence certain. Only when I am joined with her can I believe. Joined with her. Hey yo. No matter what cruel fate await me, Saya, there is nothing more I fear than losing you.
海のり、泣いてるの？
Minori, are you crying? I realize that my cheeks are wet with
どうし
tears.
てなんださや。なぜ僕にここまでしてくれる？
Why, Saya? Why do you go so far from me?
海のり。
わからないんだ。わからないのに僕だけがどんどん君に惹かれていく。君らしちゃ耐えられなくなっていく。
I don't understand it. I don't. But I'm losing myself to you more every day. I can't live without you, Saya. Thanks for the lifetime. I wrap my arms tighter around her, praying that our bodies will melt together and never be again apart.
教えてくれ。どうすれば君を失わずにいられる？僕は何をすればいい？どうやって君に報いればいい？
Tell me, please, what must I do to keep you with me? How can I repay you?
こうやって抱いていて。
Keep holding me. Saya whispers into my chest.
海のりに抱いてもらうの大好き。ずっと一緒にこうしていたい。
I want to stay like this forever.
だから私は海のりから離れたりしない。
I won't leave you, Fuminori.
なぜ僕なんだ？
Why me?
それはね、海のりが一人ぼっちだから。
Because you're all alone, she says softly, gazing up into my eyes.
それはさやも一人ぼっちだったから。
All alone, just like me. The sorrow in her voice resonates with my own. There's a deep loneliness in her eyes, a loneliness from which now springs boundless affection.
だからさやにも海のりしかいないの。
You're all I have.
この世でただ一人だけ私を抱きしめてくれる大好きな海のり。
In the whole wide world, only you will embrace me, my precious Fuminori. Now I know. No matter what horrors this world unleashes upon me, all I'll ever need is Saya. Sorry, but I'd be weak to Saya too. It'd be over. I'm finished. Yo is determined to talk to him today. Nothing will happen as long as she hesitates. It will only prolong her suffering. The time has come to show courage once again. Yo's fourth period on Thursday is his biology. This is her one chance to see Fuminori. As a required course with many students, the lecture is held in a large hall that can seat well over 200. But since the room is usually half full, it is really difficult for Yo to find the seat she wants. Yo prefers to sit near the center where it is easiest to hear the professor. Most of the students congregate in this area for the same reason. And no, not on stream this time apparently. Fuminori usually sits beside her, although given the ambiguous state of the relationship, she knows better than anyone they take this for granted. Still, she tries to save a seat whenever possible. The classroom isn't crowded today, so Yo is able to set her bag on the seat next to her without inconveniencing anyone. When the professor arrives at the usual time to start class, there is still no sign of Fuminori. After waiting for about 10 minutes, Yo scans the room furtively. Fuminori is there, sitting alone in the far back corner. Did he miss Yo when he came in? No, he couldn't have. And besides, no serious student would willingly sit so far away from the front. I see what they're trying to do. It's like, embrace reality or embrace Saya. I've already made up my mind. Sorry to say. Feeling miserable, Yo slides her bag back over to herself. Fuminori is out the door the moment class ends. Yo barely manages to catch up before he disappears down the hallway.
Sakisaka-san!
Fuminori jerks at the sound of his name. You would think she just screamed at him.
何か
What? He turns to her and asks reluctantly. Now they are face to face, Yo is painfully aware of how much weight Fuminori has lost. His sunken eyes and protruding cheekbones are a far cry from the features familiar to her. She wondered whether he's under a lot of stress, or perhaps not getting enough of nutrition. Maybe it's both. Is the food he's eating real? No, it has to be. He definitely looks more tense than he should. Afraid, even. Though of what she can't imagine, his eyes move restlessly from point to point, and he refuses to look Yo in the eye. It hurts to see Fuminori this way. What could have changed him so? Today, she reminds herself, rekindling the flame of courage in her heart.
お話があるんです。ちょっといいですか?
I want to talk to you about something. Do you have some time? The courtyard is empty and silent. No one is willing to sit and chat in the cold November air.
話って何?
So, what is it? Don't you remember? Yo almost bursts out the question but manages to keep her composure.
sakisakaさん、最近ちょっと様子が変です。見てて心配になります。
You've been acting strange lately. I'm worried about you.
そうかもね。まあ、あんな目にあった後だから。
Well, a lot's happened. He smells like it's nothing, but even that seems forced. He's standing precisely on one pace farther there from her than he is used to.
本当にそれだけなんですか?
Is that really all?
君にはそれだけじゃないように見えるのかい?
What more do you want? Yo manages to keep from flinching at the harshness of his tone.
何か我慢してるみたいに見えます。
It's like you're struggling with something. Rather than answer, Fuminori grinds his toe into the dead grass at his feet, fearing that her determination might flag. Yo lets the words come as they may.
どうしようもないものを無理して 壊れそうになるほど頑張って我慢してるみたいに。
It's like there's a terrible weight on your shoulders and it's slowly breaking you.
今の咲坂さんはそう見えます。
That's how you look to me.
そうかい。
Oh, really? Fuminori mutters through clenched teeth. No longer trying to deny nor change the subject, this is an even clearer signal of rejection than his prior evasiveness. But Yo's determination is strong. Today, at least, she won't back down.
友達ってこんな時のためにいると思うんです。
Oh, get a break. It's times like these, she implores, trying to convey the sincerity of her feelings for him. You need your friends.
ご家族のことは本当に残念だったと思います。
I feel really bad about your parents.
咲坂さんは一人ぼっちじゃありません。友くんや大見ちゃんや、それに
But you're not alone. You have Koji and Omi.
私がいます。
You have me. You know, this is just a contrast of how good Sai looks to everybody. He's not really schizo. Yo could no longer stop the words pouring from her lips. She fears that if she does not really unleash her true feelings now, they will be lost forever.
一人で背負い込んだりしなくても、私たちで何とかできることだってあると思うんです。
I think we can help you, so you don't have to deal with it all by yourself.
たとえ何もできないにしても、話してさえくれれば、あなたが少しでも楽になるかもしれない。
Mm-mm. Even if I can't do anything, just talking to us might make you feel better.
私、咲坂さんの力になりたいんです。他のみんなも同じ気持ちだと。
And I want to help you. We all do, so please tell me.
やめてくれ。
Fuminori shouts, silencing yells and entreaty. She promised herself she wouldn't back down, but Fuminori's expression is terrible enough to shatter her resolve. The look in his eyes is not anger or any other warm-blooded emotion. It is hate, murderously cold hate.
そういえば君には一つ返事しなきゃいけない要件があったね。
Come to think of it, I never gave you an answer, did I? He remembers. He remembers and still has treated her so coldly. That is all the answer she needs. If his words stab any deeper, she may very well
僕は
die.
君のことをとりわけ特別に意識したことなんてなかった。君に好意を持たれてもどう接すればいいのか迷ってた。
I never saw you in any special way before. You asked me out. I wasn't sure how to respond.
僕が君のことどう思ってるのか正直な気持ちが自分でもわからなかったから。
I didn't really know how I felt about you then.
咲坂さん、
Fuminori.
でもね、今ではもうはっきりと答えが出てる。あれから考える時間だけはたっぷりとあったからね。
But now I can give you an answer. I've had plenty of time to think it over, you know.
筑波さん、僕はあんたのことが大嫌いだ。顔も見たくない。
I hate you, Sugama. I don't even want to look at you. Don't cry, Yo tells herself. But it's too late to stop the tears pouring from her eyes. Stop it, it's too much.
もう二度と会いたくないっていうのは無理だね。同じ学校に通ってるんだし。
I suppose it's too much to hope. I never see you again. We do go to the same
だからせめ
school.
て今後は僕に声をかけないでくれないか。目障りなんだよ。つくづく。
So just make this the last time you speak to me, okay? Your voice makes me sick. How can you be so cruel? Yo whispers in shock and despair. Which Fuminori twists his lips into a malevolent smile.
君さ、少しは頭を冷やした方が良かったんだよ。どうせ大宮浩二にけしかけられてその気になってただけなんだろ。
You should really try thinking for yourself once in a while. I bet it was Koji and Omi's idea, wasn't it?
自分一人でのぼせてる分には勝手だけどさ、他人を巻き込むなって言うんだ。
Well, you can play the love all you want and leave me out of it. That's all you can take. Even after shedding tears in front of him, she absolutely refuses to let him hear her cry. Any disgrace would be preferable to breaking down here. So she runs, running breathlessly from the courtyard with Fuminori's smile cold at her back. Yo, why is he like... Omi was the first to catch sight of Yon Fuminori leaving at the courtyard. Reluctant to interrupt them, but still unwilling to leave them alone, she and Koji ended up watching the whole thing from the shadows. Well, I guess to be fair, he is acting loyal to Saya right now. Like, this is, I don't know, I think she was just trying to be his friend still even then. That asshole. Throughout the exchange, Omi was clearly itching to jump on and punch Fuminori in the face. Knowing her temper, Koji kept firm hold on her arm until then. Yeah, he could have let her down nicer, you know, they could have been friends or something. If he hadn't, she might have very well done it. Fuminori leaves after Yul, his every step seeming to take an act of willpower. Koji sighs heavily to the once more empty courtyard, but the bitter taste in his mouth will not go away. What's wrong with him? Even Koji cannot forgive Fuminori's treatment of Yo. However, the first thing that he feels is confusion, not anger. It really is, though. Even his friends say... But he's also aware that those were his friends. Or they are. Koji has known Fuminori since long before college. Fuminori was never this cruel before. There is no question now that the accident changed him.
Ne e, Koji. このまま放っておくつもり?
Are you just going to let this go?
放っておきたくないにしたって俺たちに何ができる?
I don't want to, but what can we do?
覗き見よりマシなことよ.
Something besides watch. Omi shouts, her face red with fury.
私、咲坂君に一言言ってやらなきゃ気が済まないわ.
He won't be satisfied until I give him a piece of my mind.
それで筑波の気が晴れるってもんでもないだろうに.
That will make Tsukaba feel better.
だったら私のキーだけでも晴らすわよ.
But it'll make me feel better. Gods, welcome. We're taking a look into your world, by the way. You and Omi are best friends, just like Koji and Fuminori. In fact, it was the relationship between Koji and Omi that brought the other two together. Omi's anger is only natural.
私、咲坂君と二人だけで話してみたいわ。コージはついてこなくてもいいから。
I'm gonna talk to them alone. You don't have to come. Is she dead? Is that a death flag? You serious?
その代わり、ヨウのことを見ていてあげて。あの子、多分心底傷ついてるから。
Take care of Yon for me, will you? She's probably really
泣き
hurt.
終わった後で、誰かの優しさが必要になると思う。
She'll need somebody to be nicer after she's done crying.
なあ、それって俺とお前の役回りが逆じゃないのか?
Hey, wait, shouldn't we switch jobs?
私みたいな性格だとね、慰め役は無理。励ますつもりで余計に傷跡広げちゃうのがオチなのよ。
You know how I am. If I try to comfort her, I'll end up making it worse.
なるほど。納得いった。
Yeah, you've got a point.
あ、嫌な言い方。
Hey.
じゃあまあ、そっちはほどほどにしとけよな。
Anyway, just go easy, okay? Ending the conversation before Omi's mood gets any worse, Koji ends off to find Yo. Is that a camel in the corner right here? I feel awful, miserable, but also refreshed. I finally crossed that line. I knew it would come crashing down like this sooner or later. Having become unable to feel anything but disgust for other people, I see that's how bad it is. Yeah, like you said, there was no way I could hope to maintain the relationships I'd had before the incident. Today's incident will definitely get back to Koji and Omi, and everyone will be convinced I've had a major change of character. Honestly, I don't care anymore. At least I won't be committed for this. I just need to avoid acting any stranger than I already have. If this puts a rift between me and the others, good. The thought of all the stress I'll avoid brings a smile to my lips. I'm fed up with them sticking their noses into my life. It's not like they don't care that they make my gut turn just by being near me. I've been terrified about them until now, but today I struck fear into one of them. In that sense, it's something of a relief, but I'm not entirely without remorse for what happened. The person I just demolished with the verbal equivalent of a nuclear bomb used to be my friend Yil. Even if my senses don't believe it, my mind accepts the theory. I don't have any particular grudge against Yil herself. I didn't want to hurt her. In retrospect, perhaps I should have just ignored her outright. Yil was an attractive girl. I certainly didn't think badly of her, to be honest. Though I was annoyed when Koji and Omi tried to stick us together. It felt like they were using us as entertainment, and Yale seemed totally oblivious to the fact that she was dancing to their tune. Her cluelessness was irritating. Still, I knew that none of them meant any harm. Back then, I didn't have any reason to hurt others just to get my way. If having a casual relationship with Yale would keep our circle of friends together, I was willing to make that compromise. Bruh. Now, however, there's no room in my heart for such forbearance. If merely talking to someone is an ordeal, then how can I expect them to show them kindness? These ruminations have left me exhausted. I want to return to Sai as soon as possible, but thinking about the packed trains and crowded downtown streets between here and home saps my spirit. Catching sight of a nearby bench, I sit down and close my eyes to the horrors of the world. I can't do anything but about the stink or the noise, and at least I can try to calm my nerves enough to rest. So he does smell it. Blech. When I regained consciousness in T University's hospital ward, the world was as dark as it is now. I had not yet recovered my sight, even though my eyes and optical nerves were undamaged. It must have been an after effect of the accident. Blindness was a shock. But now I know that my suffering then was nothing. After all, my senses of hearing, touch, taste, and smell were all fine at the time. The real horror began when my sight returned. What? The one small mercy was that I was able to come to terms with the accident and my neurosurgery while still blind. I panicked when I first saw the nightmarish hospital and blood-curdling shapes of the doctors and nurses. But I soon guessed the cause. It chills me to think of what might have happened if I recovered my sight along with my consciousness, suddenly awakening in what I can only describe as hell. I would no doubt have lost my mind instantly. Question, however, does that mean the floors, if he laid down on the floor, would it be like a comfy, kind of squishy, or would it still be hard, like concrete? Soon my disorder spread to the sense of touch, taste, and smell. As it turns out, sight exerts tremendous influence over the other four. The taste of my food, the feel of my bedsheets, the fragrance of my get-well flowers, all became as unbearably foul as my eyes said they should be. You don't think so? Eventually, when even the doctor's voices became unrecognizable as human, I decided to kill myself. I didn't believe for a second that I could live in this new world. Squishy and slimy. Actually, yeah, pass me on the slimy feeling. At least, not until I met Saya. One night, while thinking of a painless way to die, I found myself succumbing to sleep, drifting between the nightmares in my dreams and the nightmare of reality. I didn't notice her enter my room. No. The next thing I knew, there was a face staring down from me from next to my bed. The face was not covered in pus or slime or earthworm-like feelers. It had smooth white cheeks, round eyes, a little lovely nose. All things I had never expected to see again. The face was that of a girl, undeniably human and positively glowing with beauty. I sighed in admiration, savoring the first peace and joy since regaining my sight. She did not expect such a reaction, apparently.
怖くないの？私のこと。
Aren't you afraid of me? She asked, looking at the clock. Wait a minute. Does that mean in reality she looks like the fleshy walls? But since he has like upside down, like reverse vision, he is seeing her as beautiful. Yeah, she's pretty weird, huh? I thought it was exactly 3 in the morning. No time for a girl to be alone in the hospital. Perhaps she expected me to mistake her for a ghost. But I would not have cared if she had been a ghost. Either way, she was a godsend.
君は誰だい？なぜここに？
Who are you? What are you doing
私
here?
はサヤ。パパのこと探しに来たの。
I'm Saya. I'm looking for my dad. I assumed that she was a daughter of the late shift doctor or another patient. It was unusual but not unthinkable for such a girl to be wandering around the
あ
hospital.
なた、怖がらないんじゃつまらない。
It's no fun if you're not scared.
あ、ちょっと。
But wait! I cried, desperate to keep her from leaving. It was only after she turned around that I realized I hadn't thought about what to say next. What?
何？
Well? Your beautiful eyes drew me in, healing my soul to its core. Through the white haze clouding my mind, I struggled to form a coherent sentence.
女の子にお願いしていいことじゃないんだが、今は君にしか頼めない。
I shouldn't do this to a girl, but you're the only one I can ask. No longer concerned with propriety, I let the words come as they willed.
手を握らせてもらえないだろうか。
Will you let me hold your hand? Saya looked confused at first, but then she smiled like she just found a new toy. Yeah, that's too much. Her smile was brighter than my memories of the sun. I think that's why they took out the whole scene.
変な人。そんなこと言い出したの、あなたが初めて。
You're strange, she said, holding out her slender white hand. No one's asked me anything like that before. Streams finished, we were dead. Ever so carefully, as though catching snowflakes, I placed my palm against hers. I could feel her human warmth and softness of her delicate fingers. She was there, just beyond the palm of my hand. Yeah, all sins that could possibly be seen are now seen. Thinking back on the joyful tears I had shed then, I knew that this is the moment I was saved from my
こ
fate.
の半月の間に初めて人に触れた。人だと感じられる体に。
This is the first time in weeks I've touched someone and felt them as human.
は？
Huh?
他の人じゃダメなんだ。僕事故に遭って、その後遺症らしいんだけど、人が人の姿に見えないんだよ。
I can't touch anyone else. That was in an accident and as a side effect of the surgery. I can't see people as human anymore.
本当に不思議な人。
How mysterious.
あなたって面白い。
Dark and curious.
明日の夜もまた来ていい？
You're interesting, she said, winding her fingers gently around mine. Can I come back tomorrow night?
ああ、そりゃもういいのかい？君はそんなことをして。
Yes, of course. But are you sure it's okay?
大丈夫よ。夜は私のものだから。
But don't worry, she replied. The night belongs to me. Huh? And so our rendezvous began. Saya came into my room every night at 3 a.m., skillfully taking advantage of the duty nurse's shift change. I was astonished to learn that she was living beside the hospital.
これだけ広いと隠れる場所には事欠かないから。
It's so big, I never ran out of places to hide, she said, answering my surprise with a nonchalant smile. She had been living in the suburbs with her father, she told me, until one day he'd suddenly stopped coming home. After she had tired of waiting, Saya decided one night to sneak into the hospital where he'd worked. and there she lived for over 2 months, searching for his whereabouts all the while.
学校には行かなくていいのかい？
Don't you have to go to school?
いいの。勉強は全部パパに教えてもらったから。さやはとっても頭がいいんだよ。
No, Dad taught me everything I need to know. I'm really smart. She was a stranger girl. On the one hand, she looked like and acted like a child. On the other, she was remarkably self-reliant, and at times exhibited a sharp intelligence and deep knowledge that many have found unsettling. I didn't care. I was the only other human in the world gone mad. Her existence meant far more to me than the standards of society.
危なくないのか？見つかりそうになったことは。
Aren't you worried you might get caught?
全然平気。ここにいれば食べるものにも不自由しないし、パパのうちに一人ぼっちでいるよりもずっと楽しいよ。
Nope, I don't have to worry about food here. And it's a lot more fun than staying in Dad's house by myself.
入院してる患者さんたちのうち、ちょっと精神的に参ってそうな人を事前にチェックしといてね。
I looked through the patient's list and found the ones who have mental problems. So I continued grinning mischievously. Ah, I see. So she looks for the list of good matches.
時々部
You
屋
should
に
check the
真
viewer
夜
list
中
on
に
this
忍び
channel.
込んで脅かしたりするの。その人が大騒ぎしても、そういう患者さんの言うことはみんな真に受けたりしないから。
Sometimes I sneak into their rooms late at night and scare them. Even if they raise a fuss, no one believes what a mental patient say. Okay, you're funny. That's a good
結
point.
局は悪い夢ってことで
She
片
doesn't
付けられちゃうし。
They just brush it off as a bad dream. Your confession reminded me that the hospital is famous for its ghost stories. Who could have imagined that there was actually a real girl impishly roaming these hallways?
じゃあ、僕も最初はそのつもりで。
So that's why you came to my room the first time?
うん。ごめんね。怒った？
Sorry. Are you mad? While her pranks were hardly praiseworthy, I couldn't bring myself to scold her for the very thing that had brought us together.
もうやらない方がいい。その代わり、夜は僕の話し相手になってくれないか？
You shouldn't do it anymore. You come talk to me instead.
さやもその方が楽しい。
Yeah, that's more fun for me too. Yo. With extreme care, I was able to conceal my sensory disorder. It was glaringly obvious that the doctors had no way to cure me, and the fact I'd undergone this still experimental procedure made me even more cautious. No, it's too yummy. As a medical student, it was easy for me to imagine how the doctors would react if I had discovered I was exhibiting such unusual side effects. I was not about to become a guinea pig, a mere specimen to be examined with clinical detachment. So I hid my discomfort and loathing behind a mask of normalcy, convincing doctors that any signs of stress were merely a result of hospitalization. Saya was my support. Looking forward to her nightly visits gave me the strength to endure my daily torture. Hope can make an enormous difference in a patient's progress. With the aid of my secret nature, I recovered at a pace that left doctors stunned. On the last night before my release, I summoned my courage and asked her,
君はこれからもずっとこの病院に居続けるのかい？
Are you going to stay here forever?
うん。結局パパの手がかりはなかったけど、もう他にいるところもないし、バレそうになるまではいいかなって。
Yeah, I couldn't learn anything about my dad, but it's not like I have anywhere else to go. I guess I'll stay here as long as I can hide. In other words, there was nothing keeping her here.
よかったら僕の家に来ないか？
Why not stay with me? I asked timidly. The question took all the courage I had.
え？
家族はもういないから部屋はいくらでも余ってる。人目を忍ぶような必要もないし、住み心地もそんなに悪くないんじゃないかと。
Wow, how convenient. My family's gone, so I have plenty of room. You won't need to hide, and it's not a bad place to live.
ずっとふみのりと一緒に暮らすの？
You want me to live with you? I was too afraid to ask her what she thought of that, so I hastily offered a
君
deal.
の父さんのことは代わりに僕が探してあげる。約束するよ。必ず居場所を見つけてみせる。
In exchange, I'll help you look for your father. I'll find him, no matter what.
難しいと思うよそれ。
I think that's gonna be hard. Saya said, looking a little embarrassed.
多分パパ何か悪いことをしてこの病院を辞めたんだと思う。
Dad probably did something bad and had to leave the
だ
hospital.
から警察とかは困るの。なるべくこっそりと探さなきゃいけないし。
I can't get the police involved. You'll have to be as discreet as
頑
possible.
張るよ。どんなことだってやる。僕は。
I'll do whatever it takes. Unable to control myself, I finally spoke the truth.
さやと離れたくないんだ。
I can't be apart from you. At first she looked bewildered, but after a moment of silence she said,
少しだけ考えさせて。
Give me one little time. That night she left my room earlier than usual. I hope she says yes. On the day of my release, I managed to smile as I accepted the hideous, foul-smelling celebratory bouquet. The flesh beasts calling themselves Koji, Ome, and Yo came to pick me up. Though they had come to see me many times during my stay, it never got easier to see my friends change so horribly. My sudden tears of despair grew suspicion, but I managed to explain them away as tears of joy. When we walked to Koji's car, I looked desperately for Saya amid the grotesque scenery. Even as we drove away, I kept watching the hospital fade into the distance, praying for a last glimmer of hope. But Saya never appeared. After Koji and the others dropped me off, I paused a while to regard my surroundings. I lived my entire life on this block, in this house. There was no other place I could call home, but nothing was as I remembered. As I walked up to the path to the front door and took in the yard where I had spent my childhood, I could feel those memories being defiled by the twisted, festering shapes around me. Inside the house, I found nothing familiar, nothing to offer me comfort and warmth. What I had once called home was now a whole other
僕
world.
にはもう帰る場所なんてない。
I have no home, I whispered with a smile of self-pity. There's one less stop to make. One last nail to hammer into my coffin. I stepped into the room that had cradled me from childhood. The walls were papered with human entrails, at bed a tangled mess of warm flesh, but none of that mattered. There, curled up on the bed like an abandoned cat, was Saya. As I stood there in shock, she looked at me in a tiny, weak voice and said,
本当にここにいてもいい？
Can I really stay? Wait, she found his address. She's very clever. I responded by sweeping her into my arms, embracing her tightly so that she would not escape. Saya did not resist. Ayo. That's a little more than hand-holding, my friend. When she arrives at the Sakisaka house, Omi takes a first deep breath to calm herself. Her anger did not vanish entirely, of course, but now, at least she can hear herself think. While waiting for a response from the intercom, she looks over the patch of yard that she can see from the outside gate. Even Omi isn't normally one to complain about other people's housekeeping, but this is going too far. The grass is growing wild, and there are piles of dead leaves scattered everywhere. It doesn't just look untended, but it looks like an uninhabited ruin. It's still light out, but every window has its storm shutters tightly sealed. Omi guesses they've been closed since this morning. Oh no, they've been closed forever, my friend. What kind of life is Fuminori leading? Even if he's leaving alone, he can't neglect his housework forever. Yeah, he needs to sweep off the worms off the yard, for once. And is it just her imagination, or does something stink like rotten meat? It couldn't be coming from the yard, could it? There's still no response, so she presses the buzzer a second time, third, and a fourth. Finally, after this has gone on for more than 10 minutes, Omi loses her patience and opens the cover of the intercom. As she expected, the power had been disconnected. Perhaps Fuminori has a good reason for shutting out the world, but Omi can only see it as a lack of respect for others. Her anger rekindled. She pushes the gate open and stomps through the yard and the front door. Given the state of his intercom, she doubts that Fuminori will respond to a knock, so she decides to just open in the door and go in shouting, and if the door's locked, she'll just have to. Surprisingly, the doorknob turns easily in her hand, and the enraged Omi finds herself throwing the door open wider than she had intended. Bro. Her nostrils are instantly assaulted by a choking stench. What is that smell? As Omi stands petrified on the threshold, the cowbell hanging on the inside of the door chimes loudly. A moment later. Welcome home. Huh? Omi can't believe her ears. The voice she just had heard could not have been human, yet its intonations were too complex for any animal she can imagine. What the There's someone there. She calls out to the end of the hallway from which the voice came. There is no response. Instead, she hears the sound of something soft and wet flopping its way deeper into the house. Finding it difficult to place a meaningful image to the voice she had just heard, Omi stares blankly at the empty vestibule. There's nothing there, not even Fuminori's shoes, which can only mean that he's still outside somewhere wearing them. The house should be empty. But then, what was that voice just now? Her anger vanished as if it were never there. Nevertheless, Omi sets foot into the hallway, leaving the door open so that the cowbell won't ring. The floor creaks, setting her nerves on edge. Omi isn't sure why she's acting like a burglar, but something tells her to make as little noise as possible. The potency of the stink inside the house makes the whiff she caught outside pale in comparison. Face reveal. It's sickening, like rotten fish guts. Has food been left to spoil in the kitchen? She hears a bubbling sound up ahead. Stepping gingerly on the creaking floorboards, Omi makes her way to the end of the hallway. She finds rooms to both sides of her, one lit, the other dark. She chooses to go into the lit room. It's the kitchen that might be the only window in the house not covered by a storm shutter. You know how spooky this must look? I assume there's no power in this house, just like the sunset. The sound she heard was the pot boiling on the stove, and the chopping board next to it lie a butcher's knife and some half-diced carrots. A perfectly normal household scene, with the light of the setting sun making everything the color of decomposing fruit. Something was wrong. Who was cooking here with me? And where did they go? Is anyone here? Omi calls, regretting it immediately as she realizes that her voice is shaking. As her words echo vainly through the silent house, she begins to feel foolish and defenseless. Suddenly, she feels something cold seeping through her pantyhose. She timidly reaches down to her feet. Her fingertips come away covered with a viscous olive green slime, like the filthy water from a tank all clogged with algae and dead fish. The whole floor is covered with it. It must be the source of the stench. Omi now wishes she had worn her shoes inside. Manners be damned. When she looked back ruefully the way she came, she realizes that her current position is not visible from the entrance. The kitchen must be where that strange voice came from. The next room is probably the den. As she expected from the closed storm shutters, it's pitch black inside. Only wants nothing more than to flee this house, but that would mean turning her back to the darkness. That she cannot bring herself to do. Moved by some irrational compulsion, Omi sets her foot into the den. It's too dark to see anything, but the stink is far worse than before. She slides her hand along the wall, feeling for the light switch. Finding it sooner than she expected, she flips it on like it's her last. Yeah. The colors, so many colors. The purple of entrails, the brown of raw meat, the crimson of fresh blood, the yellow of fat. These colors, and more that cannot be described, cover every inch of the room in a maddening array. The colors say all that needs to be said about the painter's hatred, malice, and insanity. Omi's legs give out from the shock, sending her to the floor. Slime immediately soaks through her jeans, its cold tendrils creeping up her legs, crotch, and her neck. Her hand flies to her neck, where it is greeted by another drop of chilly slime. Above her, something is dripping on her head, making perhaps the worst decision of her life. Omi looks up, the predator clinging to the ceiling, poised to leap upon his prey. She sees it in every detail. Her eyes and nose are sealed before she can scream, and her belly is torn open as something feasts on her innards. By the time she feels any of this, Omi has already gone mad. I bit the bullet and tried to take the train, but the rush hour crowds were so bad that I had to get off the hallway and walk. I think, no, they're hanging out. They're friends now. I'm running pretty late. I am worried. I hope she's not mad. When I entered the yard, I realized that the front door had been left wide open. Light from the living room is seeping out in the hallway, and I hear what sounds like someone smacking their lips. There's also a tantalizing fragrance in the air. Is it Saya? I considered calling out to her, but decided to enter in silence instead. Something smells strange, though not unpleasant. The aroma is quite soothing, in fact. It reminds me of Saya's hair. First, I'm surprised by what I see in the living room. The floor is covered by what looks like to be some kind of grass, probably the source of the herb-like smell. And there are fruit or vegetable-like balls in varying size scattered everywhere. I see. I see. Okay. So we just have to play like it's the forest now. Burgers and lettuce.
Saya.
Saya, what's that you got there? Got some greens and fruits. Saya turns around, her eyes wide open with surprise. Nico question, why people got angry at me going to the naked to the gender reveal party? I don't know, maybe they just can't accept what you have to show. That's all it is. Sucking on some booger. She then looks away sheepishly, like a child caught at some prank. What are you eating? This is, well, she stammers, so flustered that I suddenly feel bad for sneaking up to her. Remembering that she has never eaten in front of me before, I realize that she must be quite embarrassed. Can I have one? Ayo? I scoop up the closest fruit thing and pop it in my mouth, ignoring Saya's attempt to baby. It's so yummy. Oh no. You know, this is not a bad reality. The forest was just the prequel. It has a strange texture, soft and pliable, like a peach or a pear. and I bite into it in my back teeth. The succulent juice fills my mouth. So combined with a sharp, strong fragrance, it's unlike anything I've ever tasted.
何か味付けとか調理してあるのかこれ。
How did you make this? What did you use? Then how come you were eating it on the floor? You were hiding this from me, Saya?
調理ってほどのことは、さばいてからちょっと溶かして食べやすくしただけで、ほとんど生なんだけど。
It wasn't hard. I just took it apart and melted it a little to make it easier to eat. It's practically raw. Oh? They picked up a different lump, this one consisting of fruity flesh around the hard core. Is this the skull? Wait, fresh around the heart. This is the brain. Tearing a chunk into my mouth, I find it has a similar taste to the last one.
ねえ、大丈夫？それって。
Hey, are you okay? That's
僕でも食べられる味だ。
even I can
っ
eat
ていうよ
this.
りうまいよこれ。
In fact, it's good.
そうなの？
Really? At first, Saya looks dumbstruck, but then she bursts out laughing.
そうなんだ。文則もこういうのが好きだったんだ。なんだ、あれこれ工夫して頑張ってた私がバカみたい。
Yeah, she was trying to cook some stuff, but we just had the same taste. This is so sweet. So this is what you like. Now I feel stupid for going through all that
さやって
trouble.
いつもこういうものを食べてたのか。
Is this what you always eat, Saya? You weren't even sharing it with me. What's wrong with you?
こんな大物は久しぶりだけどね。近所の公園とかで取ってこれるやつ。
Yeah, it's nearly been a while since I've had one so big. Usually I catch them at the nearby park. There's an impressive nature preserve not too far from here. I've never heard... Yeah, you ever just try to catch fruit? Yeah, and those things will like slip away if you don't catch them. Yeah, I've never heard of fruits like these growing here, but well, of course, they only look like fruits to me. They're really something else.
ごめんね。一番美味しいところはさっきさやが全部食べちゃった。
Sorry, I already ate the best
いいよ
parts.
また今度で。でもこれで明日から一緒に食事ができるね。
That's okay. Just all it's next time and now we can eat together. Saya seems really happy. I'm happy too, of course. Eating someone is much more fun than eating alone. And it makes the food taste much better too.
まだまだいっぱいあるし、食べきれない分は冷やせば 2,3 日は大丈夫だよ。ちょっと味は落ちるんだけどね。
Yeah, it's been a while. There's still plenty left. I'll keep it chill for 2 or 3 days. The won't taste as good.
早めに片付けておこうか。
Eating with friends. Then we'd better start putting it away. Sealing the small fruits in Tupperware and the large ones in pots and bowls, so I had stored the remaining food in the refrigerator. Thinking of tomorrow's dinner fills me with anticipation. I feel that little by little, I'm starting to regain the joy of living. Yes, can you get some more of these like yummy fruits? We're going vegan. Saya will guide me. With her, I can live on. True Scary Stories, Hospital Edition, Chapter 4, The Monster in the Hospital. A medical student relates his shocking experiences. Will you believe him or not? Strange things started happening at the hospital around the end of last spring. It began with patients waking up in the middle of the night screaming. They all spoke of terrifying nightmares, and many of them had to be sedated. Some patients even transferred to other hospitals because of it. The weird thing was that they had all exactly the same dream. A dream about some horribly disgusting monster staring down at them from their bedside. But the really strange stuff started really happening after that. There used to be a lot of stray cats around campus looking for scraps from other students. One day, the cats suddenly disappeared. And it wasn't that they'd stopped coming, it was more like they'd vanished from the area entirely. And then people stopped walking their dogs around, according to rumors. The dogs were refusing to go anywhere near the school. Eventually, things started missing in the hospital. Organs, to be precise. Transplant organs kept disappearing from storage. People came close to losing their jobs over it. And it wasn't just 1 or 2, 3 times it happened. They tried to keep it from the students, and we heard it was a lot worse than that. People started saying that there was something living in the hospital. The janitors would find strange messes that could have only been made in the middle of the night. Traces of something that had crawled down the hallway, or weird stains caused by something dripping through the ceiling. The late shift nurses talked about hearing strange noises on the same nights that patients woke screaming. There's one last story, one you can never mention inside the hospital. One day, the obstetrics department went crazy. Organic taste. Yeah, they only eat organic here. They said that a newborn had disappeared in the night. If that were true, the police would have come in and it would have been all over the news. But they say the big shots managed to make it all go away. It's just a rumor, of course. These strange incidents suddenly stopped towards the end of the summer. Now there are almost no patients complaining of nightmares, and the cats have started coming back to campus. Literally, it's just free food. She's just eating all the hospital food, so she's got plenty to eat. But still, what happened in the hospital that summer? Even now, just thinking about it gives me the creeps. All the fruit we catch, the running fruit.
ダメだ。
Nothing. This is the 3rd day in a row they haven't been able to get in touch with Omi. There's no sign she returned to her apartment, and even her family doesn't know anything. Her parents have already filed a missing persons report. Wait. Guy, she told you where she was going. Did you not like... But she's fine?
まあ、あいつのことだからな。何事もなかったみたいに、ひょっこり顔出しそうな気もするんだが。
Oh, you know her. She'll probably just pop up somewhere like nothing happened. You know, classic Omi.
だといいけど。
It sounds like he's omitting the details, am I right? I hope so. Yul replies with a gloomy expression. She's worried about Omi, of course. But the incident with Fuminori 3 days ago must still be weighing on her as well. Yul hasn't been seen at Fuminori since, and Fuminori hasn't made any effort to approach her or Koji. 4 people used to meet in this cafeteria between classes, but now there are only 2.
ねえ、殿くん、もう一度考えてみようよ。どこかオミちゃんの行きそうな場所に心当たりない？
Hey, Koji, let's keep thinking. Isn't there somewhere Omi might have gone?
いや、一通りは確かめたしな。
No, Koji answers evasively. I already checked everywhere. It's a lie, of course. Koji knows where Omi planned to go that evening, but he doesn't want to bring Fuminori up in front of Yo. Well, their awkward silence is mercifully broken by the bell signaling the start of the next
じゃ
period.
あ、俺行くわ。
Well, I've gotta go. Yeah. Unless Koji is mistaken, Yo is supposed to have class next period too. But she just sits there, staring into space, unable to come up with anything to say. He leaves the cafeteria reluctantly. But Omi's disappearance and Yo's depression worry Koji, and both problems lead back to the same exact place.
海のりは一体。
What the hell is Fuminori doing? When Omi went missing, the first thing he did was question Fuminori. After all, the last time he'd seen her was just about before she stormed off to give Fuminori a piece of her mind. Fuminori responded with an unequivocal denial, and acted like he hadn't the slightest idea why Omi would have gone to see him. Perhaps that was only natural. As he was unaware that Omi and Koji had witnessed him, he reduced Yo to tears. Did Omi even make it to Fuminori's house? She had been riding a wave of emotion when she left, It might have calmed down and changed her mind halfway there. Or perhaps she ran into trouble along the way. Koji concluded, or more accurately, convinced himself, that one of these possibilities was the truth, subconsciously denying the one remaining possibility, that Fuminori was lying, that he had met Omi and was involved in her disappearance. When questioned by the police, Koji told the truth about Omi's destination only up until the train station, maintaining that he had no idea where she'd planned to go after that. He wanted to cooperate with the search, of course, but Omi couldn't have made it to Fuminori's house. He said to himself, didn't he? In that case, he told the police everything they needed to know. Not wanting to get the still fragile Fuminori involved, he forced himself to accept this flimsy logic. But the conflict has built up inside of him without his notice, leaving unanswered suspicion to fester in his mind. Koji is deep in thought, paying no attention to his surroundings, but perhaps that is what allows him to catch sight of his friend's back through the crowd of milling students.
Fuminori?
At first, Koji assumes that he's headed up to the lecture hall, but it soon appears that he is instead going home. Strange. Medical students have required courses in the afternoon. Though he is initially surprised, Koji's hesitation lasts only for a second. He follows his friend, taking care to stay far enough that he won't be noticed. Oh no. Fuminori wasn't going home. This became obvious when he boarded a train heading in the opposite direction. Koji's next guess was that he was going to see his doctor at the T University Hospital. But Fuminori runs straight through the closest station. Where is he going? At first, Koji felt ashamed for tailing his friend like this, but conscience fell silent as Fuminori's actions grew more mysterious. The stranger it gets, the closer Koji feels to discovering the truth behind Fuminori's sudden transformation, and the knowledge would be welcome, no matter how slight. Even Koji is beginning to think that there must be more behind Fuminori's change than the accident alone. He wants a more satisfying answer, one that can help him decide whether Fuminori can still be trusted. Fuminori gets off at a small station in a nondescript suburb of Tokyo. Koji follows, trying not to lose sight of him amid the other disembarking passengers. The area is quite desolate, with only a small bookstore, a convenience store, and a market in front of the train station. It is easy for Koji to keep Fuminori in view. This neighborhood was carved out of the Fuji foothills, and here and there remain steep inclines and wooded areas that escape assimilation. Koji is amazed that such a quiet place exists less than an hour out of central Tokyo. Fuminori seems to know these streets. He moves quickly and purposefully through the suburban community, his eyes fixed straight ahead. Before long, Fuminori reaches a house, without ringing the bell or even knocking. He opens the door and vanishes inside, leaving Koji to wonder how Fuminori can treat a house as his own. After waiting to see if Fuminori comes back out, Koji approaches the gate and checks the nameplate. Ogai, it reads. Koji has never heard of anyone by that name among Fuminori's acquaintances. Next, his attention is drawn to the thick wad of leaflets sticking out of the mail slot. This, coupled with the general dilapidated feel of the place, suggests that it has been abandoned for some time. A small playground about 2 blocks away provides an adequate vantage point from which to watch the front of the Ogai home. Fortunately, it does not appear to be a sort of house that has a rear exit. Koji settles on a bench to begin his stakeout. I should have brought more smokes. 1 hour passes, then another, but there remains no sign of movement around the Ogai residence. Soon twilight settles upon the neighborhood. After Koji's 1 pack of cigarettes runs out, the stakeout becomes a battle against melting impatience. He kills time by redialing Omi on his cell and sending her short text messages, but his efforts are futile as he knew they would be. When the sky begins to turn deep blue and the street lights come on, Fuminori finally emerges from the house and heads back towards the station with the same hurried stride. After some consideration, Koji decides that right now, investigating the house is more important than tailing Fuminori. He rings the doorbell just to make sure. After receiving the unexpected silence in response, he checks to make sure no one is watching and turns the doorknob. The door is not locked. The moment he enters the house, stale air thick with mold and dust fills Koji's nostrils. It is the unmistakable smell of a house that long lain untouched. There's also a faint hint of something else in the air. I think it's only him that doesn't lock the doors. Maybe he doesn't even see the locks at this point. There's no way, right? There's also a hint of faint of something else in the air, something reminiscent of damp sewers and fetid cisterns. Flipping the light switch does nothing. The power must be cut off. Koji uses his cigarette lighter to illuminate the immediate area. In the thick dust covering the floor, he sees several brand new trails of footprints that could have only been made by shoes. Fuminori's. Koji decides to follow suit and dispense with courtesy. He enters with his shoes on. And we'll stop it from there. Cliffhanger moment. But I do have to get to the graveyard and eat some food. So, thank you for coming to our Saya playthrough today. We will pick this up the next week on Thursday. So, I appreciate all of you for coming along. Yeah. I'm glad you guys actually got to come along for this. It was a little special moment for me too. Let's go see who we can raid tonight before we head out. I see. So, we're gonna raid Sister Vi, and then we'll go and raid. And then, we'll call it from there. Okay. And thank you all for coming. It's always a pleasure. I love just how I was joking about this being like, oh, this is just me IRL. No, this is really for real. Like we were playing the forest just like this. The moment we saw some walking fruit, we were like, finally, some good fucking food. I love this. So yeah, let's do that. Let me go raid. Boom. And yeah.